2013 and the cold, prolonged, crippling recession shows no sign of slowing down. The country is in the midst of extreme austerity measures, and following drastic cuts in services, youth unemployment is spiralling out of control. There appears to be no way out, and not a single flicker of hope.
Whoa, okay, things weren't great, but it wasn't exactly a full-blown economic Titanic situation, or was it? Maybe the unemployed young people of Leicester and Leicestershire did feel as though their ship was letting in water. The statistics at the time would certainly suggest that urgent support was needed. So a distress signal was fired and the Big Lottery responded with a brand new project of support. In 2013, a rescue ship was sent to help these young people, and with that, the 5-year Talent Match programme was launched. During the last 5 years, Talent Match has pushed the boundaries, seeking to provide young people with the best possible support in order to move them into sustainable employment. Lots has been tried and tested, and even more has been achieved, but it wasn't without breaking a few eggs along the way. At times, the journey's been as bumpy as it's been smooth. There have been the good things.
Talent Match changed my life.
The not so good.
There was a point of lack of communication between partnerships, and at a point, this made me very anxious. I didn't know who I was being managed by.
And of course, the downright we tried, but it simply didn't work.
Unfortunately, there were the same amount of people there that come in, done nothing and dumped biscuits.
This video will be a warts and all summary of the 5-year Talent Match journey, and we'll get right under the skin of the key things that we've learned. We hope that it will inform future projects and maybe even inform future policy. But let's start at the beginning. Here's an overview of what the Talent Match programme was all about.
Talent Match Leicester and Leicestershire has been a programme of support funded by the Big Lottery and designed to help 18 to 24-year-old young people who have been unemployed for 12 months or more. Those young people, by their very nature, are those furthest away from the labour market. And as we discovered during the course of the 5 years, often it's young people with severe and significant barriers to getting themselves into work. The Talent Match programme was all about developing those key skills that would allow young people not just the opportunity to find work, but also to sustain it.
Many funded employment programs involve a partnership of smaller organisations who come together to provide a range of different support to individuals. A little bit like the Avengers or the Autobots, or when the Power Rangers come together and form that pile of kick-ass awesomeness. You get the picture. But how can we make sure that we attract the best possible partners and, more importantly, the best possible partnership? Let's take a look at what Talent Match Leicestershire found out about forming their partnership.
For any effective youth employment project or youth inclusion project, you must involve a diverse range of partners, and the only effective way to achieve that is to impartially commission, involving the service users who are going to benefit from that service in that process.
There would never be just one organisation in Talent Match. The plan was that we would work with IAG professionals who would interact with individual young people and prepare them for work with our delivery partners. The delivery partners that we brought on board all had different professional expertise, in particular with a number of new innovations. This included video CVs, which were really successful. And we also offered challenge days with local employers, taking young people to spend a day with a prospective employer. And we even went forward and launched a successful Talent Match business.
As an organisation, it's something that we've always offered and felt it's important to move people into work. The project, in its first 2 years, had a mixture of IAG and youth work. And I think it became apparent that although the youth work was really good at engaging, it wasn't necessarily taking the young person through the journey they needed to move them forward into employment. Having that core centre to what was done meant that all the issues that came from that could be addressed, but we had a main vision to take them forward.
One of the things that we learned from Talent Match is that the partnership has to be effective by means of being prepared to stretch and challenge. There's a reason why these young people have been long-term unemployed. We need to get underneath that reason, and rather than actually go with it, sometimes we need to go against it. We need to be very, very solution focused when working with this client group.
We've got to lead by example, you know, we're trying to work with often hard to reach young people, and I think we've got to be relatable to them. They've got to be able to look up to us, respect us. We need to try and inspire them, and I think without passion, you're not going to be able to do that.
Whatever you decide will be the composition of your partnership, whether it be media, music, enterprise, whatever it is. I think the important thing is to be an effective partnership is to not only have experts in those particular fields, but make sure that the people that work in those fields are really competent, enthusiastic and passionate about working with young people.
The beauty of Talent Match, always from the word go, is that we involve a baseline service which is intensive, alongside a great range of activities and programmes. But we didn't design those programmes. They were designed by professionals and young people working together every step of the way to make sure that offer is what young people wanted.
Leicester, like all big cities, has not only a culturally diverse population, but has many young people who have a range of substantial barriers to employment. Its county has many towns with high rates of unemployment. Many different services work to help and support these individuals. So what did the partnership learn about forming effective networks with these services and to overcoming the challenges of working with a diverse community?
Leicester is an extremely diverse city, and I believe it is very important to have community centres for young people to access and gain the help and support that they need.
It's important for the delivery partners to understand their local communities so they can get right to those that are most in need. What's worked well with the partnership is that everybody has different strengths. So when we've not been able to perhaps deal with a young person effectively, we've been able to draw on a partner's strength to make sure that we're using their expertise to get to the underlying problem.
It's extremely important to have a community organisation that's well trusted and known within the community, an organisation that has a track record for delivering programmes to young people, to understand the attitudes and behaviours of the client group we're going to be delivering with, enabled us as a team to deliver the Talent Match programme and achieve positive outcomes.
I myself work in a market town. Previously, I've worked in big cities. I spent 2 years actually working on educational programs in New York, which is very, very different from working in a rural market town in Leicestershire. However, having geographical knowledge and knowledge of how a town operates and the peculiarities of a small town is absolutely crucial. Knowing the local employers, knowing some of the more colourful characters of the town, and knowing what the clients have access to will really, really help. Large national organisations have tried to come into smaller towns and smaller geographical areas and try to operate using some of their national templates. That doesn't work. You really need to have a practitioner who knows the town to get the best out of the town.
So we know that Talent Match supported many young people with a huge range of different barriers preventing them from moving into employment. But what did we learn about working with these different clients? And how did the Talent Match staff adapt to working with the specific client group?
So working with the 18 to 24s, it changed the way I worked slightly because it was more focused around apprenticeships, going back to education and looking for more part-time employment where there was not so much probably pressure to look for full-time.
It's really important that before we start this client mentor support journey that we know what our own limitations are. We are there to support young people into employment and training and no more. The young people that we're working with or have been working with on Talent Match are very, very complex, and we've noticed that some of their issues are inextricably linked to other things like substance abuse. They may be known to the criminal justice system, homelessness. We need to make sure that what we do is about employment and training, that we don't go outside the parameters of that. And if the young person has a more significant barrier to employment, like substance abuse or any other issues that affect their life, we need to make sure they're signposted on. Otherwise, we'll find that we're stretching ourselves too thinly and arguably what we're doing becomes ineffectual.
In-work support has proved crucial to those that we've employed within the City Council and with other employees because of the barriers that some of those possess.
I think what we've found on Talent Match really is that some clients, not all by any means, but some clients, they do really enjoy the engagement and the participation on the activities. But Talent Match, along with a lot of programs of support like Talent Match, is to move young people into employment. And what you do tend to find is that some young people that you work with have no intention of moving into employment. And I think what you have to do very quickly is to decipher who those people are. And if it's clear through the opportunities that you present to them around employment that they're not really interested, I think you have to have the courage and conviction to exit them from the programme.
For some young people, the transition into employment can just be too challenging. Having in-work support means that we can support the young person with any issues and support them with the job role, but we're also there on hand to assist the manager and liaise with them to ensure that everything's working in harmony.
Hidden disabilities within Talent Match became quite prominent for us at 18 months. That our caseload, suddenly we noticed a cohort of young people coming through with diagnosed and undiagnosed conditions. Some of those conditions, we're talking things like ADHD, Asperger's, a range of different conditions, and we noticed as professionals we weren't necessarily equipped or necessarily trained to manage young people in the employability sector. What we were able to do is work with those young people to talk and listen to their experiences, their thoughts and their ideas about how they would like the service to be offered. But it took us a year of in-depth research and case study development and talking to professionals across a range of sectors to understand that there was no offer for this group in the employability sector, but we certainly through Talent Match wanted to make sure we did have one.
Any effective partnership working with a specific client group should reach out to that client group and involve them in the decision-making process. And Talent Match was no different from this. From day one, a consultation group of young people was formed, but was it effective and how could it be improved?
Well, with the Talent Match project, it was always our idea to have a youth board, bring young people in and get them to talk about their experiences. And in fact, this was seen as being really important because we could talk to them about their experiences and they could help us evaluate the project as we went forward through it.
Well, I got involved in the recruitment team initially because I was a part of Talent Match within my community in Highfields. So they asked me if I wanted to be a part of the Talent Match executive board, which I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. So when I went along, they asked me to come along to the job centre where they recruit other young people to take part in Talent Match. In the job centre, we would be looking for young people between the ages of 18 to 24 to take part in a Talent Match. It was good at the time and it was nice to engage with other young people and for them to see that we as young people ourselves were there to help.
One of the biggest assets we have found within Talent Match is our young people as peer mentors and peer facilitators. It's easy to underestimate peer work and just leave them to it because you believe they've got the skills and experience. What we noticed on Talent Match, they were most effective when they were trained and developed, but always had a professional in the wings to guide and support them through any interaction with other young people. So they were really effective in recruiting within job centres, within community settings, or large-scale city events that we delivered, as long as there was a professional supporting them every step of the way. The feedback from the young people too is that they benefited from that expertise as well, and they're able to develop and improve every time they went out. There's learn by doing, but there's learn by doing with somebody just keeping an eye.
When I was on the youth board, there was only a handful of us that would come in to promote Talent Match the best that we could. Unfortunately, there were the same amount of people there that come in, done nothing and dumped biscuits.
We needed someone to step in and give us a common goal to work towards, but no one was really filling that role adequately. And it kind of seemed obvious to have someone to step in that role, considering the fact that the people on the youth board were people on the Talent Match courses at the time. it doesn't really make sense for me to ask them to try and lead something when they can't get a job, which is the whole reason they're there in the first place.
Right, so it's day one of your new program. You've got your partnership in place, you've established a new way of working, and your practitioners are all ready to go. All you need now are some unemployed young people to come and sign up. Right, so you might need some sort of marketing strategy, but what did we find out that works and doesn't work when it comes to marketing your program?
There's going to be great activities that will go on during the course of any program. Capture that in terms of content, and be prepared to distribute that on social media, because it gives young people a great sense of achievement and worth when they see themselves involved in that. I think it's great in terms of recruitment, getting people onto the program so they can see what programs are about. And also I feel in terms of a partnership, it galvanises the partnership, it gives the partnership a feel-good factor, because it's clear that the activities that you're doing are inspirational.
In this day and age, I think social media is really important, especially working with young people. That's where they all are, everyone's online. It's like, before it might be doing flyers and, like kind of more meeting people, but I think you reach much higher numbers of people on the internet. I think it's good to highlight your successes, show people what they could be getting involved in, especially if there's stuff that looks good and sounds good, and it's really important. Like, I know for us that we've recruited probably 80–90% of our young people just through Facebook and social media.
Nowadays with social media, it's so big, you need a full team, a dedicated team to post on social media, sometimes multiple times a day. You can't just have someone doing it part-time, posting every other week.
So on Talent Match, we have a page where we share information between the partners and some of the young people. I've found recently that some of the information hasn't really been relevant to the work that I'm doing, and therefore as a consequence I've tended not to use the page as much, and I think that might be the same for some of the other partnership, which has been a shame.
So it's the 21st century. It would be easy to think that social media, it offers the biggest solutions for engagement onto a youth employability programme. It doesn't. You need social media, you need to be creative with your social media, but by far the biggest asset we had on this programme is the success of our young people and the personalities delivering on the programme. When you put those two together in a face-to-face environment, that's where they bought in. Some of our young people are some of the most vulnerable you'll see in our community. They needed a nurturing, friendly face. That was the sell, and that's what they bought.
When you're working with long-term unemployed young people, you often have to work hard to overcome complicated barriers, and this can take time. However, when Talent Match signed up a young person, its objective was simple: to move that individual back into education, or ideally into sustained employment. For some young people, that objective was achieved, but for others it wasn't that simple. But let's find out why.
The Talent Match project has actually revealed some very, very interesting things, and I think the most profound thing that I've discovered, that in spite of all the welfare to work services out there, which are driving very, very hard to get young people into employment, there is one significant factor that we must bear in mind. Some young people won't work for one very, very clear and obvious reason. They don't want to. That's all it is. Work to them is a barrier to their social life. It is a concept that they can't engage with. As much as we've tried to create as many employment opportunities as we possibly can, we've finessed employment offers to the point where we've said, can we change the hours? Can we change the availability? Can we change the remit, the duties? Whatever we put in front of some young people, it's quite simple. I don't work because I don't want to. And I think moving forward, we have to, as much as we don't like it, embrace that.
When we first started talking to employers and engaging with them, we found that they had many different opinions, some of them positive, but many were negative. We were quite surprised at that, so we thought we needed to go back to source and come back to those employers with empiric information.
When we've been speaking to employers, a lot of them had opinions about young people, and not all of them were positive. So we wanted to challenge the perceptions that employers had about young people.
The support of Talent Match has been really beneficial for me because before I was with Talent Match, I was really shy. I was really quiet. I didn't believe in myself at all. With them, I got the confidence to pursue what I wanted to do and get into like a full-time job that I really like.
So before I joined Talent Match, I was not in a very good place. I was homeless, I was into drug abuse, and I basically felt like there was no future for me in life, which was very frustrating because I was very sound-minded through all of this. When I joined Talent Match, it was a little bit of a slow start, purely because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now, how can somebody help you find what you want to do if you don't know yourself or point you in the right direction to that? When a step-up role became available on Talent Match, I was put forward by my mentor for it, and it seemed to suit my skills and also what I had interest in very well. However, there was a point of lack of communication between partnerships, and at a point, this made me very anxious. I didn't know who I was being managed by. When the lack of communication was resolved within my step-up role, I really started to exceed at what I did, and I did it good. I set up a social enterprise, which now means that I can help young people that were in a similar position to myself as when I was younger, and it basically means that prevention is better than the cure.
Currently, I'm self-employed. I'm running my own business and I have my own brand. However, several years ago, I graduated university with no clear indication on where I wanted to go. There was no guide to show me what the next step is. Then Talent Match came along. Through Talent Match, they gave me a step-up role, and the step-up role gave me an opportunity to then work in a media production company. And through that, I'm now self-employed.
Having attended a couple of personal development courses, they did wonders for boosting my confidence and giving me a bit of discipline. But at the same time, thinking about it, I don't think I was ready for full-time employment. The step-up role just allowed me to enter the world of work a little more easily, a bit more gentle. And it gave me that first foray into employment. It gave me the structure. It allowed me to take on more responsibility. But with that support network underneath, so it doesn't become too much. And built up my skills and confidence in a more practical, realistic environment.
During the course of the 5 years, we started to work with a great number of young people that we knew were extremely competent and certainly worth a chance in terms of the labour market. These were young people that we'd come to know who were confident, reliable, hard-working, but maybe had barriers that employers might be concerned about when they came to recruiting them. In Leicester and Leicestershire, one of the key growth areas is logistics. And what the Talent Match partnership did was to come up with a concept called the Cube. What the Cube was the opportunity for young people to go and work in a local warehouse in a controlled environment. What this involved was young people being picked up in the morning from a central point, transported to the workplace, and then working in a controlled area under supervision of Talent Match key workers.
It's not just giving me the opportunity to prove my skills in the workplace and actually hold down the job. It's with the two mentors that come in, it's helped us learn the job as well as the management and the staff understand our personalities, because I can be a quite blunt person and not everyone can take to that. Some people could get a bit offended by it, thinking why they're picking on me. And also with the transport, it takes away the worry and the stress of having to get there.
The day-to-day challenges I face in the Cube is probably getting them motivated. So motivation as soon as you get there, get them all on their sections, making sure they're aware of the job they're doing, because some of the jobs they get can be really fiddly. So 5 or 6 parts, and they sometimes don't know where to start. But if you go with them and give them a heads up, like start with this, prep this, make boxes, it gets them more motivated. That's probably the biggest challenge.
Some of the challenges that we face working on the Cube is timekeeping. I found that some of the young people just need a reminder of 5 minutes till the end of lunch. keeping them motivated to ensure the job gets done on time.
I think it's fair to say that this has been an incredible success. And through the discovery of the Cube, I believe that we might have discovered a platform that offers young people who aren't working a chance to successfully enter the labour market.
Play it safe or push the boundaries. When you've established a new partnership, does fortune really favour the brave? Let's see what these staff members think.
So my advice to future youth and employment programmes is to take risk, ignite passion in the partnership, and don't be afraid to innovate.
Over 20% of the businesses that we've researched have attended training workshops with us and have made a commitment to make changes to their online application processes.
Well, I feel by doing the research and letting young people actually help us to build that research and actually do the assessments, then we were actually able to give a voice to young people that we could then take to business.
Yeah, we could say shoulda, woulda, coulda until the cows come home, but hey, that's the power of hindsight. The power to better yourself the next time round. So let's imagine we were running Talent Match all over again. What's that one thing that we would change?
Talent Match is now coming to an end, and I'd really like to know what would happen for the young people that never got to go into employment, because not everybody had the opportunity. So who's going to carry on the legacy of Talent Match?
If I could change anything about the Talent Match project, it would probably be the amount of money that was available for activities. And I just think from being part of it from the beginning, kind of felt like the activities are what really draw the young people in and what get the biggest results in the shortest amount of time. Like one-to-one work and activities is kind of what it's all about. So it just felt a little bit limited sometimes, that there weren't quite enough money in the pot to necessarily do all the activities we wanted to do, or to be able to give maybe some people longer times within a certain activity.
Well, I think obviously Talent Match was there to actually learn from their work and also to conduct some proof of concept. It's a shame that the funding isn't there just to take those ideas forward.
We were one of the least funded Talent Match programmes, and yet we've achieved one of the highest value for money into sustainable employment. We didn't have enough money to tackle some of the issues we needed to tackle. That's why 60% of our young people still remain unemployed. We have lots of ideas, we have lots of developments, and we have lots of innovations. We just needed the additional funding that was more holistic and not so focused on employability.
The one thing I would change is just within Talent Match, have a clear journey that a young person goes on when they enter the project. A clear point where they come in, a clear line of activities that they're going to engage in, and then a clear point of exit, hopefully into work, so that is nice and clear from the outset.
I think there's an opportunity for large national employers to work in partnership with Talent Match to provide amazing opportunities for our young people.
The Cube has been an amazing success. My only criticism is that we didn't do it earlier within the project, and if we had have done it earlier, could we have branched out into other industries?
The personal development courses that I went on, I would prefer if they were a bit longer, or there was one after the other, so I can keep progressing on myself.
To try and broker a wider range of job opportunities for the individuals that we currently have worked with over the last 5 years.
The communication between partnerships. When we had a communication breakdown in my step-up role, this really did affect me, and I started to feel anxiety and again feel like I couldn't do the job that I was tasked.
Every year it always seemed to change. There was no clear indication on what direction Talent Match wanted to go in. And if I could change anything about Talent Match, it would be to have a clear strategy from day one all the way to the end of year 5.
There needs to be a greater emphasis on an individual's self-awareness. All too often when appearing on the Talent Match courses, it seems like the individuals on it didn't really understand why they were there or the skill sets they needed to develop.
Talent Match is a programme where we work with young people that are 12 months unemployed. I believe we should remove this to be able to work with young people as soon as they become unemployed.
Variety of programs they offered, because I did a personal development program when I first started with one of the mentors there. Went on after that to do the Prince's Trust 12-week team programme, and that after the team had finished, came back to Talent Match, but I wasn't really ready still to go into work, but there wasn't another programme like what I felt I needed to be able to continue my progress.
What I'd like to change about Talent Match is I wish that the work we did in year 3, we could have started in year 1. The first 2 years were very much trying to understand what was needed, and I think through a recommission process it became evident that things needed to change. And years 3 to 5 have been fabulous and supportive for young people, and I would really like those extra 2 years to give back and work with more young people across the city and county.
It's really important that we form a contract on day one. We look at the presenting needs of the client and we actually say this is not going to go on ad infinitum. There is a finite amount of time that we work together. We have to be very, very clear about what the objectives are. We have to avoid totally a dependency culture, or that it becomes a club or a gang where unemployed people actually go, that they have an identity which is not in employment. And we have to say, what are our objectives? What do we want to do? How can we work effectively together? If it's about employment, education or training, we need to start that journey with the end in mind.
Talent Match has been great. There's so many innovative approaches and different ideas that are coming out, but they're only at that proof of concept stage. It'd be great if we had more funding just to prove those ideas a bit more.
The one thing I'd change about Talent Match is probably having a counsellor that we've got on board that we can refer to really quick. For mental health support, just for more, because we can help them, we can sit and speak and we can advise, but there's a cut-off, so we have to refer onwards, and sometimes that journey is quite long.
Well, youth unemployment is not going to stop when our project finishes, and it's taken 2 to 3 years to get Talent Match into a good position where everything is working as we wanted it. So it's rather disappointing for me to think that the project will come to an end at the 5-year period. I really think that a project like Talent Match should be going forward for many years to come.
We'd like to thank everybody who's taken part in making this video, and we really hope that what we've learned in the past 5 years will help you with your projects. We've tried to capture an honest view of 5 challenging yet very enjoyable years, and as professionals, we can be really proud of the work we've done to help change the lives of young people. And it's only right that we give the young people themselves the final word. Thank you for watching.
Talent Match changed my life because I was quiet and I was really shy, and with Talent Match it gave me the confidence to believe in myself, progress in what I wanted to do in life and get the job.
Before I was on Talent Match, I really wasn't in a good place in life, and I had no idea where my life was going to take me. After joining Talent Match and completing the programme, I now can share my experiences with young people who are in similar situations, and it's really making a difference to their lives. Without Talent Match, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
3 years ago, when I first started attending the Talent Match courses, I was devoid of confidence, no self-belief, and quite frankly, going nowhere. But thanks to the courses and the brilliant support I received on them, I'm now in a 30-hour job that I'm really enjoying and looking towards the future more optimistically.
I've got a message for the people that work on Talent Match. Thank you for everything that you're doing, because it's changing lives like it changed mine, and it got me that full-time job that I wanted, that I love.